A hazmat incident at the University of Kentucky drew a big response from the Lexington Fire Department. I'll tell you how they were able to take care of 11 people who had symptoms coming up.
A Kentucky pastor serving in Haiti is on his way back to America after being shot.
The NBA draft begins tomorrow, and there are 7 Wildcats taking part. We'll have a preview.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5.
Good afternoon to you. Nearly a dozen people had to be decontaminated following a hazmat scare on the UK campus.
They reported feeling sick after being exposed to a chemical while they were in the animal pathology building on Veterans Drive this morning. WKYT's Sean Moody shows us what happened in our top story at 5.
Lexington Fire Department got this bus back in 2004. Today is the second time they've actually had to use it in the real world. They say it's perfect for situations like this. They're able to get a lot of patients on board, take care of them, and then take them wherever they need to go.
The Lexington Fire Department responded in big numbers to the animal pathology building at UK around 11 this morning after a report of people being exposed to an unknown chemical.
Several people did feel symptoms of irritation, whether that was skin irritation or eye irritation.
A UK spokesperson said movers had taken a refrigerator from the Gluck Equine Research Center to the Dimmock building last night. This morning, when workers in the building came in, they noticed a stench.
Where they traced it to was this refrigerator, and they opened the refrigerator door, and it was quite overpowering. And so they immediately pulled the alarm.
Firefighters had to decontaminate 11 people on the scene, then move them into their medical ambulance bus. That bus can take on several patients, then get all of them to the hospital. They were all checked out as a precaution at UK Hospital. Firefighters cleared the building later this afternoon. A UK spokesperson said that refrigerator was empty. They think the odor was a chemical residue from something that had been inside. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
UK reopened the building around 2:45 this afternoon.
A Kentucky pastor is headed home after being shot while on a mission trip. Bill Wesley from Body of Christ Ministries in Irvine was one of 4 people injured during a kidnapping attempt in Haiti. Wesley was there as part of a mission trip working with 2 villages north of Port-au-Prince. WKYT's Victor Puente has more on the shooting.
That pastor left last week to help the people of Haiti. He's now on his way back to America with a bullet still lodged in his body. Bill Wesley has been in Haiti since last Thursday, along with his daughter, Kayla, and a family friend. His church's secretary told us they felt a calling to help some of the other churches there.
To build swing sets for the children, took a lot of toys, and took shoes for a lot of the pastors that didn't have shoes or socks.
Their trip was fruitful and going smoothly until last night when the group was leaving a worship service. One of the people who helped coordinate Wesley's trip was in the vehicle with him, said they were attacked by another vehicle full of men.
The bullets went into the driver's side mirror, into the driver's side door, into the front fender, and we all just ducked down and everybody just started praying.
4 people, including Wesley, were hit by bullets. Amazingly, no one was seriously injured. A woman in another vehicle was taken but later released. While interviewing Daniels, the pastor called to schedule his return home and commented on the shooting.
Just because this happened doesn't push me away from it, because I could have been carjacked in Lexington, or something like that.
Crystal Lawson says she believes the shooters were targeting the Haitian pastor they were with because of their anti-voodoo preaching.
Instead of putting fear in my heart and in my Haitian family's heart, it just made us realize how strong our God was.
Bill Wesley should be on a plane bound for Miami right now. He's scheduled to leave out of there and come to Lexington tomorrow morning. In Estill County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
A spokesperson for the State Department tells us they are aware of the report of the shooting and are ready to provide assistance, but because of privacy, cannot comment any further on the matter. We now know when one of the men charged in a Marine's murder will be in court. A Fayette County grand jury indicted Quincinio Canada and Dewan Mulazam on murder and robbery charges yesterday. Police say the pair shot Jonathan Price and his wife Megan last June. Jonathan died. Canada will be arraigned on July 10th. He and Mulazam are also charged in a string of robberies in Lexington last summer. It has been a pleasant day across the area for us.
Nice to get a break from the humidity, but don't get used to this. Changes are coming our way. WKYT meteorologist Jim Caldwell has an early check of the forecast. Jim?
Yeah, we've got big changes. We've got more heat and humidity that will really push into the area tomorrow. That's going to be followed by tomorrow night with strong or severe thunderstorms. So enjoy what you have out there today, because a lot of things are happening in the weather world this week. Now look right now outside our sky cam. Generally clear skies, few high thin clouds off in the distance. Not a big deal at all. Defender, of course, scanning the skies there for you, but not really tracking much of anything yet. Our humidity, look at that. It's down to 38%. Compare that to 60-70%. And that's where it's been earlier this week during the peak heating of the day. And we're talking about very uncomfortable conditions out there. We're still seeing that northwesterly wind keeping things nice and dry for you. Low, mid-80s showing up all over the place. And the only reason we're seeing some of those clouds is because we have a little passing batch of showers just to our north. And there's not much associated with that either. But even more rain will be coming from that corridor as we head through the next couple of days here. Let's look at our 3-day threat track. Each day, other than today, today's calm, but each day, the rest of this week and into the weekend, we're talking about it being on the high levels as we're talking about hot conditions, severe thunderstorms on Thursday, Friday, heavy rain, maybe more strong thunderstorms, and then more rain, heavy rounds, which could lead to flood concerns as we head into your Saturday. We'll break it all down with the hour-by-hour forecast coming up for you in just a few minutes.
A steady stream of mourners passed through the South Carolina State House Rotunda today to say goodbye to beloved pastor and State Senator Clementa Pinckney.
He and 8 parishioners were shot and killed during a Bible study at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston a week ago. Marley Hall has more on the remembrance.
Hundreds of people lined the street as a horse-drawn wagon carried the body of State Senator Clementa Pinckney to the Capitol. Pinckney's colleagues stood by his coffin in the rotunda as mourners black and white paid their respects. Some paused to pray, others offered a simple salute.
He was a great man. I compare him to Martin Luther King. He just meant that much to me.
Tiffany Palmore said this was a chance for her children to witness history.
No matter what they do to you, you still love people because God loved us in our sins.
Pinckney and 8 parishioners were killed during Bible study at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston last Wednesday. The church massacre has reignited the debate over the Confederate flag after pictures surfaced of the alleged shooter holding it. A black curtain was placed in front of a window of the Capitol building, blocking the view of the flag flying outside.
A lot of people are ready for the change now.
South Carolina lawmakers have agreed to begin a debate this summer to remove the flag from the Capitol grounds. But on this day, people are pausing to remember a political and spiritual leader. Marley Hall, CBS News, Columbia, South Carolina.
President Obama will eulogize State Senator Clementa Pinckney on Friday. The victims of the Boston Marathon bombing received an apology today from the man convicted of the attack. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev spoke publicly for the first time during his sentencing hearing. Tsarnaev also admitted responsibility for the bombing. After he spoke, the judge sentenced him to death by execution.
One of 2 men charged in a 7-year-old murder case has pleaded guilty. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Jessamine County. Otis Henson pleaded guilty to arson and evidence tampering in the death of Mark Dunn. Dunn's body was found in a burned pickup in 2008. David Peel is charged with Dunn's murder. The Jessamine Journal reports Henson received a 10-year prison sentence and agreed to testify at Peel's trial. In Clark County, 2 adults have been charged in a string of car break-ins. 19-year-old David Sadler and 20-year-old Joshua Profit are charged with theft. More than a dozen cars were broken into on the west side of Winchester last week. 2 juveniles have already been charged. Police tell the Winchester Sun one of those juveniles may face additional charges.
The NBA draft begins tomorrow. A record 7 Wildcats hope to hear their names called. 4 of them will be there in the green room for the first round. WKYT's Brian Milam has more now from New York.
Good afternoon from Midtown Manhattan as we draw a little bit closer to the 2015 NBA draft. Since the season ended against Wisconsin, everybody has been getting ready for the NBA draft. 7 Wildcats said they were coming in, the largest class Cal has put into the draft at one time. Since the end of the season, these guys have been grilled about their weaknesses, about their positives, and by now, everybody knows everything they need to know when drafting these Wildcats.
I know what I can do, and obviously the team that drafts me is going to know what I can do. So end of the day, opinions don't really matter to me. Growing up, you hear every opinion, so, you know, at the end of the day, the situation I'm in and the situation they're in, it doesn't matter.
For me, it's not that important for me. I just want to go and make my mark on any organization I'm picked to and fortunate enough to play for. The biggest thing here is, just like at Kentucky, you have to sacrifice, and if needed, if I go 1, 2, 59, 60, wherever team I go to, I'm going to just be the best player I could possibly be for the team and help us try to win a championship.
This just scratches the surface of the coverage we will bring you over the next day and a half. We will be here for the entire draft. You'll hear more from the Wildcats coming up a little bit later. Reporting from New York, I'm Brian Mile on WKYT.
Here's a look at the most viewed stories on our website right now. People want to know about a child riding an ATV that was hit by a police cruiser, a Kentucky pastor shot while in Haiti, and a deadly crash on I-75 in Berea. You can find these stories and more on WKYT.com. Bobbi Kristina Brown is being moved to hospice care after months in the hospital. The 21-year-old daughter of Whitney Houston and Bobbi Brown was found unresponsive in a bathtub at her Atlanta home back on January 31st. In a statement today, her family said her condition has continued to deteriorate. They thanked everyone for their support and said Brown is in God's hands now.
New details today about how 2 men escaped from a New York prison. David Sweat and Richard Matt broke out more than 2 weeks ago and remain on the run. Prison employee Joyce Mitchell is charged with helping them. CBS News has learned she's accused of smuggling hacksaws and tools in a shipment of frozen hamburger meat. Police are now searching an area 22 miles from the prison. Neighbors say it's frightening to know the escapees might be nearby.
They could be real close, and we're up alone. It goes for miles of woods behind me, so they could be any place.
The search area is also near a cabin where police found the men's DNA earlier. Attorneys for James Holmes will begin their case tomorrow. Holmes is on trial for the deadly 2012 shooting rampage at a Colorado movie theater. Holmes' lawyers say their case will focus on proving Holmes was legally insane at the time. The prosecution wrapped up a few days ago after weeks of emotional testimony from victims and survivors.
Authorities have arrested 4 men in connection to the HIV outbreak in Indiana. The Drug Enforcement Agency says the men distributed the drugs the HIV victims injected. About 170 people contracted the virus in Scott County, which is just north of Louisville. Officials say needle sharing is to blame. A Centers for Disease Control Advisory Committee is recommending new vaccines for teenagers and young adults. The committee voted today to recommend vaccines to prevent meningitis B. Current vaccines protect against several strains, but not the B strain.
Recently, there have been increased numbers of outbreaks on college campuses. Children have died.
The CDC still has to approve the committee's recommendation. Once that happens, insurance companies would most likely cover the new vaccines.
A special visit for children taking part in an after-school program. Students at Heartland Academy in Jessamine County wrote letters to troops overseas. Today, one of those soldiers, Sergeant Ben Joint, visited the students. They presented him with 50 letters that he will pass along to other soldiers serving overseas. The project helps students understand the military and the importance of teamwork.
Just share a blessing, just share, hey, we're here, we're thinking of you, and you've got little ones that know your sacrifice, that know your commitment and know your respect and of community, country. So, and we just want to say thank you for our freedoms.
Well, the children will send out more letters to the troops around Christmas time. It is time now for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. New numbers show many people don't buckle up when riding in the back seat, but you can be injured or even killed in a crash no matter where you're sitting in a car. As Chris Van Cleve shows us, the report found stricter seatbelt laws could drop the number of deaths by 17%.
Oh my God. If you needed a reason to fasten that seatbelt when you're in the back seat, here it is. Watch this father and young son, unbuckled, go flying when the cab they're riding in gets hit. It happens more than you might think. Department of Transportation data shows more than 1 in 5 backseat passengers do not buckle up. But in a cab, the numbers are much worse. Last year, the New York City Taxi Commission found only 38% of cab riders wore seatbelts. Noor Ahmed's been driving a cab in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. How often do people wear the seatbelt in the back of your cab?
Very rare.
Almost never?
Never.
Here is a real-life example. Watch the unbelted woman on the left fly across the cab, slamming into the window. The other woman was wearing a seatbelt. In 2013, more than half, 55% of backseat passengers killed in crashes were not wearing seatbelts. But only 28 states require adults in the back to buckle up. Deborah Hersman is the former chairman of the NTSB and heads the National Safety Council.
People are just as likely to be injured or killed in the back seat if they're not wearing those seat belts as they are in the front seat.
Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Washington.
The Department of Transportation says people not wearing a seatbelt are 30 times more likely to be ejected from a vehicle during a crash. 3 out of 4 people who are ejected during a deadly crash die from their injuries. We have some sour news for your sweet tooth today. Chocolate prices could be going up this summer because the supply of cocoa is down right now. Dry weather in the 2 countries that produce the most cocoa is to blame. The shortage has already pushed prices up 12% this year.